Diva Dance really gave me the confidence and empowerment to do so many things that I never thought I would do as an adult.
Just having the space to just build your confidence, you are going to want to be a part of it.
This is a happy place for me, and I'm back in a happy place.
Hey friends, I'm Jami Stigliano, founder and CEO of DivaDance, and welcome to episode 2 of season 3 of Community Time. I am here with, frankly, a DivaDance celebrity is really what you are, Trey. Drop your credentials.
It's true. Yeah, I'm an ATX instructor, but I'm a 5, 6, 7, 8 member.
So if you're listening to this and you can't see what Trey's wearing, describe your look right now. Some people might be watching this on YouTube, but if they're not, tell us what you're wearing.
Yeah, so I'm wearing my 5, 6, 7, 8 jacket that says DivaDance instructor, and it says my name on the other side. And it's like one of those cute, like, it almost reminds me of a Letterman jacket.
Yeah. So remind me to come back to the story of how this came to be, but you just dropped your credentials. You've been teaching for DivaDance since 2016. So I've known you since you were a small child, basically. And the reason I wanted you on the podcast, first of all, we have so much to talk about because we're going into a new year. We are launching a new format that you very much had a big hand in. And obviously, you have been with the company so super long and in my heart as well, since that time as well. So everyone, welcome to the podcast, the one, the only, Trey Maxwell. So exciting to have you on. Let's start with a little community time question. Okay, we're coming out of the holiday season. If you were a Christmas ornament on a tree, what would you be?
That is a great question. I would be a glass ornament because I'm fragile. But it would be shaped like the tattoo I have on the back of my right calf. It's a guy in heels. And it's like a rainbow around it, like a little rainbow aura. That would be me as an ornament.
Also, don't sell yourself short. Even though, fragile, if you want to say that, I think you're also very resilient. So you'd be, you might fall, you might drop on the floor a couple times, but you're going to get back on that tree. That's one thing I know about you and I love about you.
Yeah, it's a shatter-free glass ornament. There we go.
I love it. I would probably be, I love snow globes, but like my daughter has one though. It's like a unicorn inside. It's all sparkly and it takes up a lot of space. So that's me for sure. But in seriousness, let me ask you a serious community time question. Because, we like to ask community questions that are fun and get us laughing, but we're going into a new year. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is something you and I talk a lot about is our health journey. And, we're always trying to better ourselves. That's something I love about you. And you're always, thinking about how you can be the best Trey you can be. So going into 2025, what's a word that you're carrying with you into this new year that kind of is going to set your intention? What you thinking about?
I think for me, I get comfortable in places and I get comfortable in routines and I get comfortable in habits. And I think this year, something that I need to focus on is opening my mind and my body to the possibilities that are out there and not limiting myself. So open. We just came up together with that word of 2025.
We co-created that. That's what community does.
I love that.
Co-create. That is awesome. And I love how it's funny how, have you seen those Instagrams where it's like, if you scan this, the first 3 words you see are your words of 2025. So I think one of mine was like, they were all like silly words that I kept saying. But one of the words that landed for me, the theme of my year, the theme of my 2025, I've decided. I don't know the exact word for this, but it's essentially comfort with being idle. Now, let me take you through this. So you know me very well. I'm always busy. I always have something going on. I'm the kind of person that even if I have downtime, like I'm going to figure out, I'm going to make the most of it. I'm not just like a lay around, do nothing, which I don't want to be. But I am challenging myself to get more comfortable in moments of non-productivity. I don't even want to call it unproductive, just non-productive. So just being more idle. And anybody listening, I'm going to have y'all hold me accountable for this. But Trey, you're a dear friend and family. So I would ask you to hold me accountable. So my plan is that even when I'm like feeling like I need to be doing something, it's like, you know what, I'm going to enjoy the stillness. I'm going to enjoy the mindfulness. I'm going to like enjoy the moment and being kind of still. So But thank you for sharing that. This is what I want to talk on this episode about going into our new year, thinking about the kind of person we want to be next year, both in our studios and how much fun we want to have, and also outside of the studio. But let's back up for a minute. Trey, a lot of people don't know this about you. What do you do when you're not at DivaDance? Tell us about your profession, because you're very accomplished there. I just want to brag about you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So I am actually a recruiter, and I've been recruiting for almost a decade. It's kind of what I like to call my second career, after being a mold inspector, which that's for a different podcast. But definitely, have grown into this passion for recruiting and for matching, folks to the right opportunities and really being kind of that liaison, as well as the face of a company, and really just getting the best people to come on board to solve, whatever mission or problems, I'm working on. So yeah,
And you've
it's
been
been
at
a
big companies, you've been at Google,
yeah,
you've been at Meta, I mean, that just to drop your credentials there for you. So that
yeah, yeah.
and those are not easy jobs to get, and they're not easy jobs to keep. So that's pretty amazing. And I think the reason you're so good at it is because you are a people person. So share with everybody listening, what the people side of that means to you.
Yeah. The people side of that, I think, is a couple things. I think one is going to be like holding space for empathy, and making sure that we're leading with empathy, in every situation. We talk to so many different people from different backgrounds and different perspectives. And so when you're leading with empathy, you give people the benefit of the doubt and you start to see where their values align with the values of the company as well as the role. I think another thing, is actually, to be really on the ball and on point, like really organized and really understand the roles that you're working on in the company, that you are supporting. Or, right now I'm at Meta, and so our vision, or our mission is to um, create the next human interaction, like what that looks like, and to be on the forefront of that is really exciting.
At the beginning of this year, I made the declaration to start running my health like a business. This meant knowing my numbers, being more strategic, creating better systems, and setting and working towards even bigger goals. And most importantly, modeling the way for everyone around me. My goal is simple: to have as many healthy years ahead of me as possible, especially ones where I'm with my kids and where I'm teaching and taking as many DivaDance classes as I can. After a series of blood work and a recommendation from my provider, I've called in a little extra help with my specific health goals by partnering with Hers Weight Loss to make the journey a little more efficient. Are you maybe interested in doing the same, but need a little inspiration or motivation? See what I did there? Be sure to follow my journey on socials, and if you're ready to explore if this is right for you, head over to DivaDanceInspireandBuild.com for more info. Let's take it all the way back to your very first class. I could not do a podcast interview with you without talking about your very first class at DivaDance. Let's tell it from your perspective, and then I'll give it from mine.
Well, let me take my jacket off real quick. um, so, yeah, from my perspective, I was a very young, 20 something in Austin with a ton of energy, with the need to perform and be on stage. And, being in my 20s, I liked to go out and party a little bit. And,
This
you
actually
know,
still sounds exactly like you right now, so I'm trying to what's the okay, but what people need to know is that a friend of mine from college, she knew I was bringing DivaDance to Austin, and she's like, "I've got the perfect instructor. He would be so great. You gotta come and take his Zumba class." And I was like, "I don't like Zumba. This is nothing like Zumba. I want nothing to do with anyone who's a Zumba person." She's like, "You're gonna love him." So I went and took your class, hesitant because I don't Zumba's not my thing. But I came up to you afterwards and I was just like, you served me the Trey Kool-Aid. I put a straw in the Kool-Aid and I've never stopped drinking it ever since. So I came to you, I was like, "You'd be so great." I don't even think we had like an interview process. I was like, "You're in. I need somebody. You seem great. Let's go." But I did tell you one thing that day. Do you remember what I told you? Like, I think it was like was it at Lifetime or somewhere, some gym that you were teaching at?
yeah, I was at Gold's
Okay.
where I was at. And, I've slept since then, like you said. It's been
I said to you, I was like, I'm gonna make you a star. I'm gonna make you a star within Diva Dance. And I remember you being kind of like, it's cute. This seems fine. Like, whatever. I mean, what were you thinking at that time when, like, I was also younger, crazy girl, full of energy?
yeah, I just uh for me, it's funny because I'm super outgoing in front of a group of people, but when it's like me and like one or two other people and I'm just meeting them, I'm like kind of very like shy and I don't think shy is the right word, but like more reserved, I would say, with new people. And so that's probably why that came across as such. But jumping with joy in my brain, I do a lot of self-regulation when it comes to my emotions. Not enough, but I do it sometimes. And I was really excited and to be called a star. I mean, in any circumstances is an honor, especially from you,
No.
Miss Jami.
And
Yes.
little did you know where we'd be going together. So we book you for your first class. I'm so stoked. I'm like, okay, we have this great instructor. He's so amazing. We schedule you for your very first class. And it's, let's say the class started at noon. It's like 11:58. You're not there. Okay, I was gonna call you out.
Yeah.
You weren't there. It's like 11:59, and I'm like, I'm sweating because, like, could I jump in and teach? Yes, but this is your very first class. And it's like 11:59 and 59 seconds. And I see Trey open the door. Tell everybody what you're wearing.
You know, um, I was wearing Slaying is my cardio tank, the gray tank that you had given me,
Okay. On, yeah.
with some shorts that had black in them, but the primary color was red.
Okay. So for any instructor listening right now, they're shaking their head at you going, no,
Oh, you haven't even heard the worst of it, honey.
Okay.
I came flipping and flopping in flip-flops. And
Listen, all I know, and everyone listening can just like imagine the sound of flip flops. That's the sound I heard walking through the lobby. It was like, and I was just like, oh no. So where I think I've blacked out since then is like, well, I do not have a poker face, so you knew I was pissed immediately.
mhm,
But like, I don't remember.
yeah.
Like, did I say anything, or was like, what did I do?
So, Jami, when you were confronted with something that really just pisses you off, you're so good at being like, no, it's fine. We'll figure it out. I think like the show must go on regardless of what's happening.
Sure.
And I think that's the first priority, which is probably what saved, what could have been a really interesting conversation for people in the studio
Well,
to
I was
hear.
just like, we got to get you into class. We got to get started.
Yeah,
We got to go.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm sure you had some feedback after, and I actually think that after teaching the first few classes, there was a little break of not teaching a diva dance class for I think a 4 or 5 months, and yeah, it was a reflection or I've reflected on that and still do to this day. Being late is not something I like to do. I'm very ADHD. And so I, was untreated as a 20, something year old. A lot has that. A lot is my party personality. So stayed out partying a little bit too long. And I was in a position where I was like, you know what? I have to make it work. I have to be there. And I did, just not the way it should have gone down at all. So now I
But
keep
look
a
at you
pair of
now.
tennis shoes.
But
I
look
know,
at
I
you,
keep a
Cass.
pair
Okay,
of
so
tennis
for those
shoes
listening,
in.
the moral of the story is never show up to teach a class wearing flip flops. Always bring your tennis shoes. Okay, but lesson
Unless
learned.
it's a
Episode over.
lyrical, I mean, we've grown since then, but
Well,
yeah,
you've
definitely
seen
not.
so much over the last few years. I mean, just from your perspective, like any kind of moments that stand out from your time with Diva Dance? Because like I have a few that stand out to me about you, but anything that just like what you've been a part of the Austin community since 2016, any kind of moments that stand out?
Gosh, yeah, I think the first moment is definitely the time where I watched a video back and like felt really proud of myself as an instructor. Um, and I can't remember what song it was. I think it was Britney, but where I was just like, wow, like this is so much fun. I'm so happy to be able to do this. The second moment is the pandemic. Gosh, we were in studio as me and a couple of folks recording, classes on a daily basis. It was something that was great because we got to, have that creative outlet in such a unique and unprecedented time. But it also, kind of gets to the point where like it's it's a
It was a beat
monotonous
down.
thing. It
Yeah.
was, yeah, and especially, as we're going through kind of the mental health things that everybody was going through during the pandemic times, and it was still overall like 10/10 would recommend, would do it again. But it was a lot. And actually before that, we got our first flagship studio, the HQ flagship studio. So I remember being incredibly excited about that. It was a beautiful space. It still is obviously a beautiful space, but from that perspective of seeing it for the first time, very excited to be a part of that moment. And I remember, I think you, me, and Joe went to lunch someday and had like sandwiches at Jimmy John's or something like that, and talked about like the creation of the studio. And like, I can't remember if I drew this studio, but I drew a picture of myself like teaching in the studio. That's just like a vivid
Well,
memory that just
I
like
love man, I
things.
wish we still had that drawing. That's what I
I
don't remember that
know.
because I've had 2 babies since then, so, like, my brain is, like, not but you know what? One of my favorite memories I have a few of us, obviously. One is, we kinda did a slaycation before there was slaycation. So, we did, like, a little
Yeah.
mini trip to Vegas, and we performed, at, like, a nightclub, and this is when I was kinda still in the music business, and I was kinda coming out of it, and I was like, "Oh," I had an artist that I was working on at the time. I was like, "She's gonna perform at this nightclub. You know what? We'll open for her." Like, we'll perform. And so, like, I think, like, 6 of us went, and it was so much fun, and that's when I was like, "Okay, this could be a thing." And then the second thing is, I feel like me, you, and Natalia, for those listening, Natalia, one of our owners and, other member of the 5678 Club and just beloved member of our community, just the 3 of us doing, like, a mixtape class together is definitely a highlight, like, us teaching together, so fun because you don't get to see instructors teaching together too often, so it's really special when we kinda combine. The other memory that the public won't know about this, but do you remember, like, I think during the pandemic, you and I choreographed, like, Bad Romance or something together at my I
At
had an
your
apartment at the time.
apartment.
Yeah, like, literally,
Yes.
I think it was, like, during the pandemic, and I'm like, "Okay, well, you can come over and choreograph it with me, but, like, you know, don't tell anybody that it was like the pandemic where you, like, couldn't hang out with people and be too I don't remember, but listen, all this to say, you've seen so much, you've been a part of the company and the growth, you've made such a huge contribution to it, and, I love you for that, but you're also part of the next chapter. So, let's talk about NonStop. Talk about well, first of all, explain what NonStop is for folks who haven't seen any of the content yet or experienced a class yet. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. So Nonstop is DivaDance's first ever follow the leader format. It's a 45-minute curated playlist with moves and just combinations of moves that go to the specific parts of the song. And it really emphasizes our aspect of cardio. It's a very high cardio class. It's a class that you can kind of come in and shut your brain off for 45 minutes and just, have a dance party with your closest friends and the amazing community that we've built here at Diva Dance.
I love it because, we have everybody needs and wants cardio because we need to take care of our bodies, right? We need to move our bodies and to have like a dance party format. We never did it before because I was very particular about our choreography focus classes, stop, start choreo, learning choreo routine. And then but over time, I have really come to the conclusion of like, why can't we have both? Why can't we have our core format that is stop, start, choreo with a performance element at the end? And we add in this nonstop class that gives people just like an extra cardio boost if they want it. They get that mental break. But I tell you, I'm scared of teaching this class. You know this, right? So talk about like truly what does it take? Like how much cardio are we talking here? Give us the real story.
Yeah, so I mean, whenever I teach a class like this, I typically burn anywhere from 600 to 700 calories as the instructor. And sometimes, getting into the thousands. It can be a lot of cardio. It's a lot of agility that you need to have, as an instructor. But the good thing about the format is that there are only about 4 or 5 moves or combos for each song. With that being said, the muscle memory, folks start to pick up on the movements closer to the end of the song. giving you an opportunity to kind of step out of that instructor box, become the performer, grab a sip of water, like catch your breath. And so that's really what saves me is, I can teach a full class, but I take these breaks because I, use the choreo that I've been using, for the past 6 weeks, and clients already know it. And so it's something that I can kind of step away from, and they're not looking at me. They're too busy enjoying performing
So
the song
true.
themselves.
Watching people dance in the nonstop class is so fun. And because people get to make it their own, because to your point, the choreography is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to call it easy because, who's to say what's easy, but it's very straightforward and it really goes with the song. And so to see people even like, even as like the second time you do it and people feel more confident, they're adding in a little spin or they're adding in a little like something extra. And then all the way to the end where it has this kind of crescendo of the class where I'm seeing people drop into the splits. I'm seeing people do toe touches. I'm seeing you do a hitch kick. Like it's so fun to watch people thrive in this class. And okay, I'm gonna face my own fear of like, okay, maybe this is a lot of cardio, but it's also like just as much cardio as it is, it's equal amounts of fun. And I think that this is what our community has been wanting. So what has the feedback been from our community so far? I mean, we're just now piloting it in a few markets and starting to get it out there to the full community. What's the feedback been?
Yeah, the feedback have been roaring from clients who've taken the class to the instructors who are getting certified to teach it. It's something that I think the community has been craving, but it's also going to allow us to tap into a completely different space and grow our community with folks that maybe are scared of choreography, because there are folks that are scared to step into a choreography class, but they love to dance.
Yes, you're so right. My plan on this is that no matter what your dance background is or your desire for dance, we have something for you. And that's where I felt really convicted about this format because you're right. Some people, they just for whatever reason, our core format is not their favorite thing or what they want to do all the time, or they want to do this in addition to. So I love that you said roaring because it's actually you nailed it. Like people are freaking out about this format. Like they really love it. And what's also going to be really fun is to see our instructors across the company adding their own flavor into it. So what are you seeing from, you mentioned the instructors that are getting certified are loving it. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people being able to step into a more performer side of themselves. It's something that we do during our core diva dance format as well. But I think this format, because of the follow the leader style and being able to be a little bit more repetitive than a choreography class, again, it allows people to really step into that performer space and maybe even step outside of their comfort zone. You have to keep the class attentive, and cardio, a lot of people are like, I hate doing cardio. But the goal to this format, at least for me, is to make it feel like you're not even working out or you're not
Wow.
even doing cardio.
Dance party.
Like you're
Yeah.
just having fun at a club with all your closest friends. And
Yes.
yeah.
So talk about how we've tweaked the experience a little bit. So we're playing with some lighting things. Talk about that.
Yeah. So core diva dance, of course, you have the pink lighting that's happening nonstop. We have just more of a sporadic club type feel. The music's going to be a little bit louder, and there's going to be just a really warm and like vibey space. And I say warm in a vibe sense. It should be like pretty cool. I always make sure to turn the AC down before teaching nonstop, and we have the fans blasting, but yeah,
But with the
it's
connectedness, like, I think what
connected.
I've
Yeah.
observed is, when you are in a club, it's been a while since I've been in, like, a club, but when I would go to the club, when I was younger, just there's that it's collective effervescence. Like, this is a term we use a lot within our brand to talk about that emotional reaction we want people to have when they're dancing in our classes, and we experience in our core classes, definitely because like, learning choreography together, there's something that happens in your brain, but in this class or, like, in a club environment where we're all kind of experiencing this thing together, it is chemical. I mean, you mentioned your word for this year being magic. Great word. But like magic really happens in these classes and like lighting is definitely a part of that. And the lighting cues really go with the music.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It just makes it feel like a party.
So fun. I'm so excited about this. So talk about the themes. Like what's our vision for like the routines and how often things will change? What can people expect if they start coming to NonStop on a regular basis?
Yeah, absolutely. So nonstop is a format where, because of the follow the leader nature and because we're not breaking down the choreography, you're going to see some of the same routines week over week. Um, what we've decided on in terms of timeline is that, 4 times throughout the year, we'll send out like a completely new playlist with a curated warm up that, we create along with, several songs that our instructors can utilize. But throughout the months in between, we're also kind of sending bonus tracks. And those bonus tracks allow folks to be able to switch stuff out. And, we know that, one song may not be for, this instructor, may not be for their class or what they're looking for. And so this just gives them the resources to be able to really create a playlist that is taking you on a journey up and down, with your heart rate and the cardio that you're doing, but also like an emotional
Emotional.
journey too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so true.
absolutely.
And it's important to me that instructors are emboldened to create their own choreography and to curate the playlist in a way that represents them. So, obviously now you're in more of a leadership role within the company, but talk about as a creative and as an instructor, what it means to get to create your own choreography and to kind of take our structure, but still kind of put your own stamp on it and make it your own.
Yeah, I like the fact that we are providing choreography for a couple reasons. I think one, with it being a new format that a lot of people maybe haven't ever seen before, or haven't had the opportunity to take a class similar to this. The cool thing about it is that we're breaking down the songs the way that the song should be broken down when you're choreographing. So if you're like, I'm not feeling this certain move for the chorus, I'm going to put my own spin on it, or I'm going to do this instead, but I'm going to keep the rest of it. That just it really builds confidence as the instructor, but then you have a hand in the creative process, right? And you're really making that choreography your own.
Hey y'all, hey, Tadara here, your merch queen. This is your reminder to load up on all your DivaDance swag needs by going to DivaDanceShop.com. We have so many new cute things like the long sleeve tees, water bottle charms, and the super cute DivaDance dresses. Every order is packed with love. Members of our community can use code PODCAST for free shipping off of your next order of $75 or more.
I think it's important because that way our clients are always they're never bored, you know. And each instructor has their own creative perspective, and they have their own point of view, and we all have our own, unique backgrounds and inspirations. So I think it's important, and it's important to me that we always are able to invite our instructors to bring their own vision, and it's never just HQ issued choreography. So so excited about this format, and obviously it's coming at a really great time of year where folks are thinking about their health goals or thinking about how they want to they want to move their body even more. So let's talk a little bit about that. So you and I talk all the time about kind of body and body image and how what an important topic it is, but also how we want to be really mindful that not everybody's at the same place in that mindset or even that journey. So talk about what does it mean to be a fella and you think about like body image. What does it mean to be a man and body image?
Yeah. So we're going a little deeper into like the feels now. So I feel like for me, I am at a point in my life where I'm seeing the effects of age on my body. And it's been a really difficult transition for me to embrace, because it worries me about my future of being an instructor or being able to, teach these classes, specifically nonstop, but dance classes in general, throughout my 40s and my 50s and even beyond that. Could you imagine me as a 70-year-old like on
Yes.
stage?
Yes, I
I
can.
want to
And I
I
want
want to
to.
be there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to be there. And the the thing for me though is I'm the most uncomfortable in my body than I have been, I think, my entire life.
Mm.
And I've come close to it before, and I've done things like, the fad MML multi-market or multi-level marketing things like selling you supplements. I've done all the things. I've, done that stuff. And I'm at a point in my life now where I'm like, I want to do this in a way that is sustainable for the rest of my life.
Yes.
And so that's where I'm at. And it's very hard to start. That's probably the hardest part, is like actually starting a new routine or starting a new habit. And that's been a struggle for me. Since the beginning of this year, have said that, I want to get in a better, I want to see myself in a better light. And right now I just kind of feel like I'm not able to do that just by, different choices that I've made. It's also been a really hard year. I know you, and more so 2023 than 2024, but you did say something. I am resilient, and that is something that I do carry with me throughout. It just takes a minute to kind of get the truck running again, and then once you get there, then I feel like it's almost a no-brainer. Like you're there, you're doing it, you're doing the things that you're seeing the positive results that you're wanting to see. You're setting, goals for yourself that you're able to achieve, versus, me, I'm like, I want to lose 30 pounds and get a ton of muscle. Like, what does that even mean? Like, how do you,
Right.
how do you,
Yeah.
how do you, how do you quantify
Because
that
that's
into
not
like,
the why. That's not the why. What you said really resonated with me, and it's about that longevity. So it's interesting how when we're like 25, you don't think about these things regularly, but as we get older and as our body is kind of like, hello, you're getting older, bitch. You have really two choices. You can let your body age, or you can do something about it to create longevity. You can let your body age and let it kind of like, do what it's going to do and kind of go this direction, or you can commit to the actions we need to take now. I actually just told Joe, for those listening that don't know, Joe is my husband, a partner in the company, father to my two children. But I was just telling him the other day, I was like, you know what, dude, we're both 45. I'm like, the next couple years are really pivotal for us. Like they really are, and because we need to make the most of our time with our bodies, with our minds, financially. We have some major things we need to do. And the time is now, And so it's not even just about age, but it's about the time is now, because everything that happens after this is what's called a lagging measure. It's like those are the things that happen because of what we did now. So Trey, what are some things that you're looking to do, like healthy habits that, if we're being completely honest, it's like if I just did this fucking thing, I would be so much happier in terms of my wellness journey. What are a couple of those things for you? And then I got a few I'm gonna put on camera, or I'm gonna go on the record with, so that I can have accountability.
yeah. So, I think for me, one of the big things is like eating out, or like always stopping like to get some fast food, just because the saying goes, something about devil and idle hands. I don't know. But basically I cannot just sit around, like what you were saying, like having that
Well, I'm really
unpredictable,
bad at it, but I'm gonna get better. But
yeah.
you're saying
And
that, like, in the absence of, like, a healthy option, you kinda take the, like, less
right,
better
like I'm
option.
like, let me order something that's already been made, or let me, do something. And while there are options that you can choose that may be better than other options, I always tend to choose the quickest option, which doesn't end up being, the best
But it's
option out
also
there.
emotional. Like, I'm a very emotional eater, and I'm like, if you were to come to me and be like, "Here's a plate of broccoli," I'd be like, "Meh." But if you're like, "Here's a plate of French fries," I'm like, "Absolutely, I want that," you know? Because I'm just
No.
like, mentally, I'm like, "Oh, it's so much better." So, yeah, you're totally right. So what is something that what's something that you're gonna commit to eating less of in the new year?
Let me flip that on you. I'm gonna
Okay,
commit to eating more breakfast, because
okay.
I have a health coach, and she's been like helping me out with kind of reframing the way that I think about things and think about food. And they say breakfast is the most important meal, and the reason for it is because your body starts to take that and then turn it into energy at a very early part of the day. So if you're not eating until noon or 2 or 3 or even 7 p.m., which is the case for me sometimes. So I want to be able to like wake up, eat breakfast. It doesn't have to be like a well-balanced meal. Like just eat something that has
Mhm.
some sort of nutrition in it,
Right.
to get your day started.
Okay,
The
so
second thing,
everybody in 2025 who texts Trey or
yes.
DMs Trey Around what time should people check in on you? You're gonna get flooded with breakfast accountability messages.
I would say like 8:30 or 9 a.m. is
Okay.
probably like a safe
Okay.
time.
You heard it here, folks. Okay.
Yes. A second thing is uh, the store here in Austin called HEB is amazing for many reasons, but one of them is I've fallen in love with the meal simples. And it's not like they're like awful options. Like, yeah, they
No,
have
they're
like
amazing.
right, and they have like, pastas and stuff like that, and you can kind of choose where you grab your meals, and those are something that I need to do more about. But to go beyond that, like they don't need to just sit in my refrigerator like the two
Right.
ones that
Just
are like
buying
growing
them
mold.
is not enough. You gotta
You
eat
gotta
them.
eat
Okay.
them.
A lot of people listening can relate to that because I got somebody here at HQ bought some sort of meal simple. It's like the salmon and broccoli. I'm pretty sure it was like 2 weeks ago in our in our office fridge. And so listen, you can't just buy the meal simple. You got to eat the meal simple. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Noted.
I think with that it kind of brings up a thing about intentions. Is like this is a proof that you can have the right intentions, but you have to follow through. You have
Gotta
to
execute.
execute.
Gotta
Exactly.
execute. And you gotta stay consistent. You gotta stay consistent. So that's the thing I think if I had to be accountable, there's some days where I drink 4 of my Owala water bottles of water, and there's some days where I don't even touch it. And so I have got to be everybody watching and listening knows I have like a Diet Coke addiction problem. It's just part of it. Part of it
I
comes
think
with
I
the
think
territory.
Coca-Cola knows.
Oh, they definitely know. They're like, "It's you." But but here's the thing. I usually drink a ton of water. So my number one intention is to just like water first. It's like water first. It's, my husband will tell you the first thing in the morning, Mom, I'm like, and he's like, really? The fucking alarm just went off. Like, you can't just drink some water first. Okay, so water first is my accountability. So I will invite anybody who texts or DMs me to check in on me like mid morning and be like, how much water have you had to drink? So for those watching or listening who know Tadara from our community, Tadara is my like number one, other than Joe, Diet Coke cop. And so she's always asking me how much water I'm drinking. So definitely, definitely, definitely. I've just got to be more consistent. So because consistency is everything. Because sometimes we'll be on like a good path and then something will knock us off. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh my gosh, that's the reason I'm where I'm at today. I was back in 2021, 2022. I had a doctor that was specialized in sports medicine. And so it was a really unique experience where I was able to like see her, and she like prescribed workouts for me, and like literally just handed me all the things and said, okay, your turn. And like I just had to go implement those things. And that was so easy for me. And then I I met a boy, as it always happens. And your priorities shift, especially when you're
When
like at the beginning of kind of building a relationship. In the gay world, we like to do it very quickly. I know how a lot of people like to watch things on 2x now. We do it like in 5x. Like it's like move, move, move.
Well, it's also
Um,
that, that's also science. It's like the dopamine and like the chemicals you're getting, like you're getting the hit of happy things happening. And so listen, that's science. So don't be too hard on yourself. That's science. But yeah,
no,
that can
and
definitely throw you off some of your habits.
yeah, and that dopamine can replace the dopamine that you receive by going to the gym. And so what happened with me is one day I remember it very clearly. I was like, I'm gonna stay in bed and like hang out with what's his face for, a little bit longer. I'll go to the gym tomorrow. And then I
Right.
kept pushing it and pushing
Tomorrow
it.
became the next. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
then, before you know it, the habits that you've built around like eating start to go away. And I think what you're training your brain is that, oh, these habits are actually easily changed to
Right, it's like it's
something that's
optional. It's optional.
right.
Yeah. So we have
Exactly.
to we just talked to our franchisees about profit is not optional and how you have to plan for profit, not just hope for it. So I think that's something I really want us all everybody listening to carry into their new year. No matter what your wellness goals are, and it doesn't have to be wellness, whatever any of your goals are, like the habits that support that, they're not optional. This is what we do. This is how it works. This is what you have to do. And you can't just like hope that you stick to your routine. You just stick to the routine. So I love that. And for those listening and watching, like that I've been also on my own health journey. I did a bunch of blood work this past year because I wanted to know my numbers. I needed to know. I needed to know instead of being like, yeah, I mean, I'm a healthy 45-year-old. It's like, am I? I don't know. I mean, data will show if I am or not. And so, as part of that, I do need to take some weight off of my frame. And it's not about wanting to be thin or like sit into certain jeans or be a certain size. I don't care about any of that. I really don't. It's really about that longevity and making sure that I can go the distance, not just with my heart being healthy and avoiding stroke and all those things that fucking suck and that I don't want, and I don't want people who love me to have to experience, but also my
Mhm.
bones and my joints, and as a dancer, taking care of our bodies goes beyond just like stretching. So what are you doing to take care of your body, or what would you like to do more of?
Yeah, that's a great point that I've also been struggling with. I've been like very pain ridden from like the glutes down. And it's because I was lifting weights and then like so drastically like stopped lifting weights. I stopped stretching. I stopped doing all the things. And after a couple months, you're like, oh, this kind of doesn't feel great. And then it goes away, and then it comes back, and then it goes away, and then it comes back, and then it doesn't go away.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where I'm at right now, where I have to be very intentional about like how I stretch my body before and after class when I wake up. So stretching should like honestly be the word of 2025 for me. But
So true.
um I just got a MetaQuest 3S, which is like a VR headset, but it has like a couple of different things, like apps that you can do that will help you with stretching and kind of coach you through stuff like that, which is what I plan to implement more of.
And this is why we have the new Dance RX class, which I know you took, and I'm so proud of it because similar to the nonstop feedback, we've gotten such great feedback on this format because people want to feel good. They want to slow down a little bit and move their body with intention. They want to breathe more, even if meditation is not part of their day to day practice or seems inaccessible because maybe your brain is racing a lot. They know they need to be more mindful, and that stretching piece. Like they know they need to like just have time where they're not checking on their phone and they just have deep stretching. So I'm super proud of that format, and I think it's going to be so fun to see our community thrive because of these two new formats that are super different, but they are going to really round out their experience with our community, and I can't wait to see all the benefits of that. So what's the number one thing I can keep you accountable for next year? Because we're close. What can I hold you
Yeah.
accountable for?
You know the Nike slogan, just do it?
I know it
That
well.
I just need people to tell me to just do it. Like you can make excuses for yourself all day long. But until you like change your habit or change whatever you're doing that's not getting the right result, aka insanity, um, or the result that you want, like just do it. Just do the things you know you're gonna
That you
do,
already
and
know.
then
Because it's like when it comes
right.
to, like, healthy eating, I mean, definitely we could all use a little bit more education, and especially, like, if you have food allergies or things like that, you need to know. But it's like, I kinda know I know I need to eat more protein, which I'm always actually like I mean, you gotta eat a lot of protein nowadays. It's just like protein, protein, protein. So I know I gotta do that. I know I need to make water first, but I'm not sitting over here going like, "Should I exercise?" or like, "Should I maybe sleep better?" Like, you know what you gotta do. We all know. Okay. So just do it. I love it. Mine would just be I don't even know if I want like a word or a phrase, but I think just like a movement of like just like like I'm just gonna stay steady. I'm gonna stay steady. This is my choreography. I think we're gonna do like moves for the year. I'm just gonna stay steady for you. If you're only listening to this, I'm just kind of got my hands almost like a rolling with the homies, like from Clueless kind of movement. I'm just gonna like keep riding. I'm gonna stay measured. I'm gonna try to drop into those moments of being idle and like using those as a mindfulness practice. And I've been listening to a parenting podcast about just like mindfulness as a mom. And it's something I think I'm pretty good at, but I want to be even better at about just and then anybody I love, just being more present with them and being more present with myself. And just kind of having that like I just can't even like not do the movement of just like keeping it chill. So but I'm excited to support you in that journey as always. Many more laughs and memories to come. And what do you want to say to our community about 2025? And what wishes do you have for the people in our community?
2025 is our year. I know we always say that. We say that about every single year, but we're so separated from I guess what we would consider the pandemic. Like I know that that's still like a reality that's happening with COVID still, being around, but we've learned to adapt to it. Um, we're so separated from that to where now I would say like it's really time to just thrive.
I
And
was just gonna say the
again,
same word. I'm so glad you said that. It's time to thrive.
yeah,
So true.
it's time to thrive. Like fuck everybody else. Like do what makes you happy, and but at the same time, like with empathy and like with all of those things
Yeah.
that isn't like the fuck everyone else. Like still
So
have the
true.
consideration for everybody, but like you got to put yourself first, and that's something that I have a very hard time doing when it comes to making myself accountable. Like I have to put myself first in that, and see really what the long-term benefit of holding yourself accountable actually looks
Yes.
like.
Well,
So
it's like I mentioned, lagging measures. We gotta do the things now so that the later is better. So I love that.
absolutely.
Amazing. Well, I'm so glad you were able to be on. I mean, I feel like we have a
Yes,
podcast when we're together at all
I know.
times. But, it's been really fun to share like another side of you because, people see you in front of the class and they know that you're fun and they know that you're silly and you got the wig on and the pom-poms and the cowboy hat and what other is in your bag of tricks? Many, many tricks.
My
But
fan.
yeah, all the things, clack. But you have your heart is huge and your talent is huge, and I just love you so much, and I'm so grateful for what you've done for our community and how just the loyalty you've had to the mission. Not even about me; it's to the mission and to the community. And thanks for being on the podcast. Finally, you and I got on here, and I
Yes.
can't wait for everybody to experience Nonstop. Make sure you message Trey and let him know what you think about Nonstop because he really has been single-handedly the force behind this format. So grateful to you, and let's have a great year.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jamie, and thanks for having me.